The Golden State Warriors have January 15th circled on the calendar. That's the first day Jonathan Kuminga can be traded, and if you think there's no way he gets dealt, you're wrong, because this relationship, it's toxic, it's broken, and it might finally be coming to an end. But the craziest part is, this nightmare is not over yet. Kuminga has talent, real talent. We're talking about a 23-year-old who, at his best, puts up numbers comparable to Mikal Bridges or Desmond Bane. Yet somehow, he's become the odd man out in Golden State. So why is that? Why did the Warriors draft a potential two-way star only to bury him behind veterans? Why is Steve Kerr still benching him in the most important moments? And what happens next? Is Kuminga the key to the Warriors landing Derrick White, or even Giannis Antetokounmpo? Today, we're diving deep into the Jonathan Kuminga saga, the missed opportunities, the frustrations, the trades, and how this storyline could literally determine the end of the Warriors dynasty. All right, let's rewind to the beginning, because to understand why Jonathan Kuminga and the Warriors are such a bad fit, you have to go back to draft night in 2021. Act 1, Draft Night and Expectations. The Warriors had the 7th pick in the 2021 NBA Draft. The dynasty wasn't over yet, but it was clearly in transition. Klay was coming back from 2 brutal injuries. Steph was still at his peak. Draymond was still barking at refs. But the front office knew they had to find the next guy. That's when they took Jonathan Kuminga. On paper, it made sense. A 6'8" athletic wing with crazy bounce, the body of a modern two-way star, and enough raw scoring ability to make you believe he could one day be the guy after Steph. Think about it. The Warriors were trying to straddle 2 timelines. They wanted to win championships now while also grooming the next face of the franchise. And for a second, it felt like Kuminga might be that bridge. But here's the thing. Golden State also passed on Franz Wagner. And in hindsight, man, that's painful. Because Wagner, he's a perfect Warriors player. High IQ, movement shooter, unselfish passer, and elite defender. Kuminga, he's an ISO scorer who thrives with the ball in his hands. The opposite of what Golden State needed. And right there, the nightmare quietly began. Act 2, Early Struggles. From day 1, Kuminga looked out of place in the Warriors system. Golden State plays beautiful ball movement basketball. Everyone has to cut, screen, pass, and rotate on defense like a machine. Steph and Klay run around like maniacs. Draymond orchestrates the offense, and everyone else has to fit in. Kuminga, he's a rhythm player. He wants to size up his man, attack one-on-one, and score at the rim. And look, he can score at the rim, he's explosive. But when defenses sag off because he's not a consistent shooter, the whole Warriors spacing collapses. Defensively, it was the same story. Kuminga has the tools to guard anybody. Long arms, quick feet, strength, but he doesn't have the discipline. In Golden State, one missed rotation gets you glued to the bench. And Steve Kerr? He doesn't play favorites. So what happened? Veterans got his minutes. Every time the Warriors made a playoff push, Kuminga got benched. And at first, you could excuse it. He's just a 20-year-old rookie. They're chasing titles. They don't trust him yet. But that excuse wore thin. Act 3, the frustration builds. Fast forward to year 4. Kuminga's still on the bench when it matters most. Think about this. In the 2024 playoffs, Steve Kerr gave Kuminga 4 straight DNP-CDS. That means did not play, coach's decision. Not because he was hurt, not because he was suspended. Just Kerr didn't want him out there. But then, Steph Curry goes down. Kerr has no choice but to throw Kuminga into the fire. And what happens? Kuminga cooks. Against Minnesota, he drops 21 points on 54% shooting. He looks like the second best Warrior on the floor. Finally, after years of waiting, he gets his shot and proves he belongs. Now put yourself in his shoes. You've been begging for a chance. You finally get it. You ball out. And then, you're benched again the moment Jimmy Butler shows up. Yeah, that'll create some bad blood. Act 4, the Jimmy Butler effect. The Warriors shocked the league trading for Jimmy Butler. On paper, it made them tougher, more playoff ready. And for a while, it worked. Golden State went on a 17-3 stretch after the trade. But there was a problem. The lineups with Jimmy, Draymond, and Kuminga didn't work. There wasn't enough spacing. Too many non-shooters on the floor at once. Kerr had to make a choice. And who do you think got squeezed out? The 23-year-old kid with inconsistent shooting. So while Jimmy played, Kuminga sat. That's when the frustration hit a breaking point. Because Kuminga knew, I can give you 20 a night in the playoffs. You've seen it. Why are you still burying me? And the Warriors, they weren't listening. Act 5, the contract twist. Here's where things get really wild. This past offseason, Kuminga had leverage. He wanted a player option, a way to control his future. But the Warriors said no. They gave him a 2-year, $48.5 million deal with a team option. Why did Kuminga accept it? Because the alternative was ugly. His other path was the qualifying offer, only $8 million, which means he would have left $50 million on the table just for freedom. In the end, Kuminga blinked. He took the deal. But here's the catch. It's actually the most tradable contract he could have signed. If another team wants cap flexibility, they can trade for Kuminga and decline the option. Or if they like him, they can keep him. It's a win-win for everyone, except Kuminga, who's basically stuck in limbo until January 15th. Act 6, the Warriors' dilemma. So now, the Warriors have a problem. On one hand, they need Kuminga. Their core is ancient. Steph is 36, Draymond is 35, Jimmy is 35. Klay looks like he's 40 some nights. The average age of their starting lineup is literally 36 years old. Kuminga is the only young, athletic wing they can throw out there. And when Jimmy inevitably misses time with injuries, because let's be real, Jimmy misses at least 15 games every year, Kuminga will be their lifeline. But on the other hand, they don't trust him. Kerr has shown us year after year, when it matters, he's not putting Kuminga on the floor. So what do? Trade him. Act 7, trade targets. The Warriors are already cooking up scenarios. If you're paying Kuminga $22.5 million, that lines up perfectly with some interesting names around the league. Here's the list. Dillon Brooks, Houston. I know, everyone hates him, but he was a legit 3-and-D guy for the Rockets. He plays winning basketball when he's locked in. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, perfect 3-and-D vet, championship experience. Exactly the kind of player the Warriors love. Andrew Nembhard, Pacers, a sneaky good target. Playmaker, defender, young, fits the system. Herb Jones, Pelicans. If New Orleans craters, Herb could be on the block. He's the kind of long defender Golden State dreams about. And Fernie Simons, Blazers. A scoring guard who could help lighten Steph's load in the regular season. Derrick White, Celtics. The dream. Back-to-back all-defense, can play on or off ball, glue guy energy, low maintenance. He's basically everything the Warriors want in one package. Now the problem is cost. Derrick White isn't coming cheap. The Celtics would want multiple picks, and the Warriors aren't eager to part with their draft stash because they're saving those picks for someone bigger. Act 8, the Giannis angle. Yes, Giannis. It sounds crazy, but the Warriors are 100% watching Milwaukee. At Bucks Media Day, Giannis threw shade at the new ownership, saying, "I want to be a Buck for life," in a way that didn't sound so convincing. If he ever demands out, Golden State will try. What could they offer? Kuminga, Brandon Podziemski, Moses Moody, Buddy Hield, 3 firsts and 3 swaps. That's basically everything they have. Would it be enough? Probably not. Unless Giannis says, "I only want to play for the Warriors." That's the KD playbook all over again. It's a long shot. But the fact that Kuminga is even in those conversations shows you where this is headed. Act 9, season outlook. So where does this leave the Warriors right now? Odds makers don't love them. OKC, Denver, the Lakers, even the Rockets are ranked higher in the West. The Warriors are barely above the Mavs and Spurs in most projections. But don't count them out. The Al Horford signing is one of the most underrated moves of the offseason. He's a stretch 5, a playoff-tested veteran, and a secondary playmaker, basically a Draymond clone who can shoot. That's huge for Golden State's spacing issues. if Kuminga sticks around and actually earns Kerr's trust. Suddenly, this team has a blend of youth and experience that nobody's talking about. If he's traded for someone like Derrick White, the Warriors instantly become one of the most balanced teams in the league. Either way, Kuminga's future decides the dynasty's future. Act 10, Conclusion. So here we are. The Jonathan Kuminga nightmare isn't over yet. Maybe he finally breaks through, becomes the athletic two-way star Golden State dreamed of on draft night. Or maybe, more likely, he's traded for the next piece of the Warriors' win-now puzzle. Either way, this is the storyline that will define the final chapter of the Steph Curry dynasty. Because one thing's for sure, Golden State doesn't have two timelines anymore. They have one, and it's very old. And the only question left is whether Jonathan Kuminga will be part of it or the trade that ends it.